Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning in to real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.
Perfection. Expect nothing else. Do you like to make yourself a hot cup of coffee to start your day? We have both whole bean and grounded. Also great for all you iced coffee if not a hot kind of person. Even make yourself a frappe to quench your thirst. The best tasting coffee with espresso. It's only $18.99 plus taxes for a 12-ounce bag. Buy 1 to 5 bags and shipping is only $7. If you spend over $100, shipping is absolutely free.
Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday morning on Ken and Ken. Of course, I got Ken here with me. Good morning, Ken.
What's up?
We got Rob at a lakefront property somewhere, hopefully popping back in. And, of course, we got JB, who's on his show. Is going to be on right after our show. And I bet, oh, wait, hold on. Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Eric. All of you guys in the comments extra early this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And I bet everyone's kitchens are starting to smell absolutely freaking wonderful as turkeys are being seasoned, potatoes are being mashed, and other things are being made. And if not, then you might be doing something wrong, because this is that day that smells great, so that people can slave for hours over a meal that's going to take you 10 minutes to complete before you take a nap.
all our cooking is going to be done in the morning. That's why I'm cool with not doing the show tomorrow, because I will be in the kitchen.
Well, I mean, if you're seasoning your turkey, you probably seasoned it a day or two ago. If you're not seasoning it today, to let it soak in all those spices and juices and whatever else you're doing to it. So we have a new tradition we started a couple years ago. Our daughter hosts Thanksgiving now, and she made her first turkey. We took last year off because of the baby, obviously, with the newborn. But her first turkey was phenomenal. So she's got a lot to live up to. So we went by the house to drop the grandbaby off yesterday. It's like you could smell it outside. It's like, and her husband says, "Oh my God, the house smells so good." She seasoned the turkey 2 days ago, and that's all you can smell in the house. So, sometimes you gotta do it right. Right? No, the cam is actually, I don't know why the cam is off. I think I did it for another reason, but no, it's just off. This way you can't see me when I'm flicking you off, Luca.
Nah, Luca, he bought a bunch of Diddy oil. He's sitting there taking care of himself.
No.
No, greased up from budget.
There we go.
Like the greased up deaf guy in Family Guy.
Okay, I'm just being the voice of God, Luca. That's all it is. The booming voice from out of nowhere. I don't know what's up with this camera. I need a new system here. I might be getting a new system pretty soon. Laptops are fine and all, but they're not necessarily the best for everything. So yeah, let's start off with that. That's a good question, A-Dub. Or no, was it A? Well, yeah, yep. A-Dub, because we talked about this yesterday, right, Ken? We said, hey, look, I mean, if you're the Vikings, why don't you kick the wheels on them? You're probably signing for the league minimum. You really don't have a backup per se. Darnold got a little banged up in the Bears game, and what they do? Everyone here predicted it. He's a Viking.
I said it the day after he was released. I said he'll end up a Viking.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Everyone predicted it. He's a Viking. So, what he signed for, Ken? The league minimum?
Yeah, it's a practice squad signing.
Yeah, it's the league minimum. So, I mean, look at for Daniel Jones. It's like he's already making his millions from the Giants. He's getting paid. Now he's getting paid a little extra, not much, but a little extra, a little extra spending cash. And it's an audition. If he gets to play, it's an audition for him to try to get a contract somewhere else next year.
Yeah, I think he's auditioning for a full-time backup role somewhere in the league. I personally don't see anybody picking him for a starter again, but for a backup, I take Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I think he's actually going to audition for right where he's at because they don't have a QB on their roster next year other than JJ.
Well, that's true. I mean, because at this point though, they're getting into different kind of water though, aren't they? If if Darnold takes them deep into the playoff, let's say he takes them to an NFC Championship game.
JB doesn't believe in stupid traditions that's meant nothing that came out in the last 5 years.
The no shave. Well, look some of us can rock the no shave all year, and others can't. That's just going back to football. If you're the Minnesota Vikings right now, right, and let's say Darnold gets you a playoff win. Let's say he gets you at least one playoff win, right? You're not one and done because you're probably not going to get the bye. So you win the first playoff game, maybe you lose the second one. I don't know. It's going to be kind of hard for them not to re-sign him.
That's what I was going to say. I would personally, if I was, I'd re-sign Darnold because you don't know what's going on with JJ yet, especially since he had a second surgery, whether or not it was a cleanup surgery or whatever the hell it was. He just had a second one not too long ago. So I'd be a little worried about him starting the season if he's even going to be available to. So Darnold, or even if you got to roll out Daniel Jones for a week or two. I wouldn't want him past September.
And JJ was. It's not like JJ was a top 5 pick, right? JJ was
right. He was a top 12.
Top 12. So look, and he has a torn ACL. So you're probably going to re-sign Darnold, and the plan is to have JJ ride the bench all year as the backup to learn the game, practice, make sure the knee is healthy, get used to the speed.
I don't know if he's going to ride it all year.
Well,
if
Darnold keeps winning, if they're winning, then yeah, you would. But here's the other thing. Look, the good thing for JJ is this: he's been around the team for the year for the most part. He's getting to understand the operations. He's seen the playbook. He's digesting the playbook. The problem is he's not learning the speed in which the game at the NFL is played. Plus, he's taken a whole year from being on the field at all, from having any kind of internal clock or anything. So I can't see them start the year with him as their starting quarterback next year, especially if Darnold takes you into the playoffs and you win a game. I see him riding the bench until there's a reason to take Darnold off the field and if JJ's ready. Now, as far as Daniel Jones is concerned, if he gets elevated the backup, let's say next week, right? Let's say he gets elevated after a week of being there. This is an audition for him to go to a place like, I don't know, Carolina, who he could be a backup for, or maybe Dallas or Vegas.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
There's a ton of teams though, good, bad, and indifferent, that could probably use a backup. I would even say maybe Detroit, because who knows if they still want Hendon Hooker back there. But he's still
we want Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, he's still on a cheap contract for another year or two, anyways. But even good team, 2 years. So, but even like a team like Cincinnati, hey, why not be the backup? We'll give you $1 million. You know, I
I
mean,
was going to say, I think it'd be very wise for Cincinnati to invest in a very good backup with Joe Burrow's health issues that he's had all his career.
yeah. So I mean, I'm not laughing at the Vikings for signing Daniel Jones. I think that was a smart move by the Vikings. And here you got a quarterback who's going to be motivated to prove himself, and as a in a backup role. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys got heavy hook. Yeah, I know. Rob's a wild man today out at the lake.
Yep.
Satan
Hanging
Claus
Christmas
forgot his hat.
Yeah, no, I'm it's too windy out here. I'm out at the lake, so it's too windy for the hat.
Oh, who's coming in now? Is that Timu Joe Rogan?
Good morning, everyone.
But
Yes,
It
is.
I mean, yeah. So hey, I mean,
That in the background, Joe? I said, who's
so
this coming in?
the
Timu Joe Rogan?
The Vikings signing Daniel Jones, not a bad deal for them. Obviously auditioning for a backup, and have for probably about 20 teams that could use him as a backup next year.
Amen, Isaac. That's a great point. Everybody wrote off Bryce Young when he was benched, and now he's playing much better. And what did I say Dave Canales was doing during that time? And everybody didn't believe it was happening. I said, Canales is working out one-on-one after practices with Bryce Young to have him learn how to develop to be a better quarterback.
Well, New
Because
York
he has
quarterbacks have a tendency to not play well in New York and go other places and do just fine.
Well, we've
You ever
seen that
noticed
with
that?
Jets quarterbacks. We haven't seen it very often with the Giants quarterbacks. Because guess what? This is the first Giants quarterback after Eli Manning. So that doesn't pertain to this matter. You're
Well,
talking about
we
Jets
said
quarterbacks
New York,
versus-
JB. So we lost Timo. Oh, no, he's still
Maybe
here.
he's back.
Yeah, he's back. Hold on.
You know, I mean, like a lot of these guys who were at the Jets ended up being good, solid backups for a good couple years in other places. You know, I mean, I look at New York was a shit show for many reasons, not named Daniel Jones, right?
No.
So if he goes to a good situation where you know, who's a good example, actually, in a weird way, Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky is perfect for Buffalo. He loves Buffalo. Buffalo loves him. He works well in their system. Their fans like him. You like him. I mean, it's a good fit. There are fits like that out there for Daniel Jones too, where he's going to go to a team that's got a system that better fits him, is better equipped for him, and he'll be a fine backup or even possibly a starter for another team, just not the New York Giants in their present state and form.
Yeah, I don't see him as being a starter again in the league, honestly, unless somehow wherever he goes, they completely revamp his quarterback play. But I definitely think he'll be a good backup.
I mean, look, we all saw flashes out of Daniel Jones because that's when he got the big contract, right? I mean, when he came over, we saw when he got drafted, we saw flashes because, well, it said, hey, Eli, go ahead and retire. We got the young kid. He's doing really well. I think for him, it comes down to going to the team that has a scheme that's catered to his skill set. He can't throw the ball. I mean, he can't run like he did. The knee injuries gotta give you pause. But I mean, I'm sure there's a team or two out there he could start for. Like, look at Geno Smith. I wouldn't write him off that way, I guess is what I'm saying, Ken. I mean, haven't we learned with Geno Smith and some of these other guys that, given the right situation, they can flirt?
Yeah, but it doesn't change.
So
Yeah, but
here's a situation for you. If Cleveland doesn't fire their head coach and their offensive coordinator, I think that Danny Dimes could really do well if he was to go sit with Ken Dorsey for a little while. Because we saw what Ken Dorsey did with Josh Allen. And
Doesn't matter. He signed with the Vikings.
yeah, but
Next year, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think he's in his be extended. I don't think
Well-
they're extending Darnold because Darnold's going to want to raise.
yeah.
And
I didn't hear. This is the first time hearing that. I didn't hear that Danny signed with
Yeah,
the
he-
Vikings. I
he
heard that he
signed-
was going to, but
yeah,
they made
he
it official.
official this morning.
He signed a practice squad, and hey, good morning, Yoli, and happy holidays.
Good
to you as
morning,
well.
Yoli.
Good morning, Isaac. He signed a practice squad, but So he's on the practice squad for this week. I bet he gets elevated next week after he's had a full week with the team. They'll probably elevate him for week 13. Right? It's week 13? Yeah, it's going to be week 13 then. They'll probably get elevated. But I don't know. I mean, would you, if you're the Vikings, where's Sarah this morning? I mean, if you're the Vikings, you got Sam Darnold and you're, 9-2? Are you going to kick your starting quarterback to the curb for Danny Dimes next year? Really?
I think JJ was their plan to be a starter because JJ was actually winning the starting job this preseason until he got hurt. That is what we heard out of that camp the entire preseason. So they are going to jettison Darnold and let him walk and let him go get overpaid with another team because they have a rookie quarterback who is a first-round pick. And they'll sign Daniel Jones to a vet minimum, keeping their quarterback money low and having money to put elsewhere on the team.
So I kind of get that, right? But at the same time, that's kind of a big risk with a quarterback who's never played it down in the NFL and is coming off a torn ACL injury.
And that's why you signed Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac, stop spreading misinformation.
Just got ran out of New York.
Isaac, stop spreading misinformation. He did not deny the Raiders. The Raiders never even made an attempt at him.
I mean,
neither did the Lions. That was all bullshit. Dan Campbell came out and refuted that 2 days ago.
JB, I get your argument from a financial standpoint, right? Financial standpoint, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense what you're saying. Like, look, Darnold's going to want to raise because he's going to take you to the playoffs, and you might even win a playoff game, and he's going to want a raise, to be on that $20 or $30 million range probably at minimum, right? And I get it, and here you've got Danny Dimes, who you can probably pay the vet minimum or a little bit more than maybe like $5 or $6 million a year as a backup. That's about average backup money these days for a good backup, right? I get it from that standpoint. That's a pretty big gamble, though, because you don't know. I mean, they know more than we do as fans, right? Because they know what the doctor reports are and everything that we don't. That's a pretty big gamble to take off JJ, who has got an ACL injury and has not played a snap all year. Who knows what he's going to look like at camp?
Yeah.
And then Danny Dimes would be a step down, probably, as most Viking fans from Sam Darnold.
Yep. But I just want to give Sam Darnold some credit because he's played his way into a pay raise, and
big problem.
He's going to go somewhere next year, and he's going to get overpaid, like JB said. Like, because let's be real, like he's not going to. I look at this year as kind of an anomaly. Like, it's like Case Keenum. How he had that year with the Vikings, and then like he used that to springboard into a contract that paid him some good money, but he never had another year like that. I kind of look at it like that for Sam Darnold. Like, let him go get his $25-30 million a year. Let him get his life-changing money.
I mean, look, I'm not totally disagree with the premise of the argument. I mean, financially, it makes complete sense. JV's argument is on point financially. I'm just wondering, though, if Darnold gets you a playoff win, right, it's kind of hard to jettison something that's working on the promise of something you hope is going to work.
I think a major component in this is since he was their quarterback they drafted in the first round, that's their guy that they want to build this team around.
Right. I agree.
And since he was already winning the starting job as a rookie before he tore his ACL there, I think that puts him in a pretty high standard in the coaching staff and organization's eyes, that they're going to give this guy every opportunity to walk away with the starting job. And signing Daniel Jones as the backup versus bringing Darnold back would go a long way into making sure JJ's your guy.
Well, I agree. Look, I don't disagree with any of these arguments. I'm just saying it's just kind of a weird. I mean, look, it's a good. Look, it's not a bad situation for Minnesota to be in right now. To be honest, right? You've got two solid backups right? I think we'd all say Daniel Jones is probably at least a solid backup, and you've got Darnold, who's probably either A, overproduced, or B, finally came into his own, and then they have to decide which one it is. Did Darnold
Go with A, but
did Darnold just way overproduce, and this is kind of like a faux year, where this is not what he's going to be going forward with them? Or did Darnold get into his own, which if he got into his own, great. If he can find another situation that fits him, he can go get a big paycheck and be a starter there. But if they win a playoff game, I would think it's going to be kind of hard a little bit from the fan base in general to move on from just say, okay, thanks, Sam, peace out. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch what they do.
Down there.
I think it also depends on what kind of contract Darnold is going to be looking for. Like
Right.
maybe Darnold realizes, like, I mean, situation matters, and Darnold realizes that he's got a good situation in Minnesota, and
Yeah.
he could potentially start for another year. Like, because I agree with you, Ken. I think if he wins a playoff game, it's kind of hard to just do it at the end of the season or let him walk. At least kick the tires on a short-term contract, like 2 years for reasonable money, and then, give JJ McCarthy some more time to develop. And then if Darnold starts shitting the bed, you just put JJ in and you're not really out anything because you didn't pay him a whole bunch of money. And would Darnold be willing to take that over potentially going to another place where he's going to get guaranteed starter money, but, he's not going to have the situation that he has? Is he willing to consider that?
Are we going to get into War Week, or are we going to keep?
Yeah,
talking
we
about things that are relevant?
can, JB. We'll get there when we get there. We're talking about this situation.
I don't, well,
I mean,
right now,
but no,
there's
Joe,
really
I-
Maybe he dodges War Week more than anybody.
Like, look, I love when you guys come on the show, but let us just kind of run our show, and we'll let you run your show, and everything will be good. But no, Joe, I agree with you. I mean, look at and this is breaking news this morning. That's why we're talking about it. Obviously, good situation for Minnesota to be in. Lucas says Darnold will want a minimum of $20 million, and the Vikings will let him walk. I mean,
I agree.
But I
It's gonna
think 20
be-
million is reasonable.
it
I think
is
he's earned
reasonable.
that.
It is. And if he wins a playoff game, it's going to be kind of hard to say. Because look, if you were to ask Viking fans right now, who do you want your starting quarterback to be, Sam Darnold or Danny Dimes? How many people are taking Danny Dimes?
I'd say it's not zero.
It's not zero,
but
it's
on this podcast right now, it's zero.
it's zero, right? It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably, there's a percentage. It's probably pretty low, but that's basically, so let's say, so let's postulate the question a little differently. If JJ McCarthy's not ready by week 1, who do you want your week 1 starter next year to be? Danny Dimes or, the Ghost Hunter?
Yeah.
It's not easy.
That's a freaking rough one. Because
Dude.
No,
Yeah.
it's not a rough one, man.
if they took Sam Darnold and made him that much better than what he has been in his career, Danny Dimes, with all the flashes he had, now could they do the same thing with him and make him that much better than he was in his previous career?
See, I don't give Minnesota the credit for changing Darnold, though. I think it was his time with Shanahan in San Francisco that sort of helped him to progress some. But I also think that what you're seeing is kind of fool's gold with Darnold. Like, I think it's a 1-year kind of deal. Like, they're having a good year, and I think if he's the starter next year, he'll come back down to earth. And so I don't see signing him for a big amount of money, but $20 million for the Vikings, to me, I would take that. Like, give JJ, don't rush him. JJ is a young kid. He's 21 years old. He's got plenty of time, dude.
So, I mean, it's an interesting situation that the Vikings are going to find themselves in come end of year, however they finish, whether they go, one and done, 2 and done, get to the NFC Championship and done, get to a Super Bowl. I mean, dude, if they get to a Super Bowl with Darnold, there's no way they're letting him walk. None. I mean, I don't think that would even be in the realm of possibilities if he gets into a Super Bowl. But
Yeah, but I don't think there's a remote possibility that he's getting them to the Super Bowl.
no, that's the other side of that, Joe. Yeah, but I mean, look, they're going to have an interesting dilemma, and it's a good dilemma.
But I also
right?
just want to throw out there, you guys, JB just asked, or was it you, Ken, who asked, would you rather have Darnold or Daniel Jones as your backup going into next season, or as your starter, right? Whatever. Well, if I'm the
Luka.
Viking, I don't want Daniel Jones mentoring JJ McCarthy at all. Like whatever curse you got on you, you keep it, and you keep it and you stick it in your pocket. Like stay away from my starting quarterback. Like,
I will say though, Daniel.
Matter of fact, you don't even talk to him in the locker room. Like pretend he doesn't exist, dude.
Daniel Jones is an excellent teammate. He had multiple Giants players coming out and throwing a huge shit fit that he got released. And it's
fine,
not
he
like
can be a great teammate, but that doesn't mean I want him mentoring my starting quarterback.
I
No,
think,
but what he can mentor is that attitude to be a good leader, because that's a sign of a good leader.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can't.
Okay.
We're not talking about his QB. We're talking about his attitude. Darnold, at the same time, has started on 3 different teams other than San Francisco and Minnesota. And what has he done every time? Pouted like a little girl when he got put on the bench and let go.
yeah, I agree with Luke. I think Cato sees the mentor, not Darnold in this case. But I mean, look at end of day, Vikings now have an interesting situation. They should definitely feel better going to the playoffs with Danny Dimes going to be being the backup. Darnold, should Darnold get an injury, I mean, they improved there. Bottom line for this year, you improved. You made your team better. Should Darnold go down, you now have a better backup than you did yesterday. What's going to be interesting? What's going to be interesting is post this season, which direction go.
We can't even hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're breaking up bad.
Fucking Lord! See the days. See, we get JB in here now. We have audio issues. I tell you, no, it's not his fault. I say it's not your fault. Yeah. You know, I mean, look, it's not like they're going to be able to keep both next year, right? Danny Dimes is not going to take a practice squad contract for next year, so they're going to have a interesting situation to follow in Minnesota post this season. And honestly, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer for him, because some of it will. Okay, I don't care about the salary cap, because we already know that they always find a way to get the money they need, to get the players they want. Quezzy's probably the best in the division on that. This dude finds money. He'll find money in Rob's couch cushion somehow in Texas. He's like, oh, I found another dime in Rob's cushion. We're good. I mean, Quezzy finds a way. So they're going to have an interesting situation in Minnesota postseason, but for this season, I think they strengthened their hand and they got better, which is rare to say at week 12 that you just made your team better, but with an acquisition.
To make a small correction, it's week 13 now.
Well, yeah, it is now 13, but I mean, after week 12. This late in the season, No.
I just wanted to mention that because you had said earlier too that next week was going to be 13. I didn't want to get the viewers confused.
And while we're correcting the record, I just want to point out, Isaac, I've never bought a Taylor Swift album in my life, even to break it.
Yeah, Joe steals that shit to break it. Leave the guy alone.
All right, so JB wants to talk War Week. Oh my God, we got to talk the game. All right, you ready? Here's the game. The Bears are going to Detroit, and they're going to lose. There you go. Over.
Okay, that's a lot of faith in your team.
But we got to talk about it. That's the best part of it.
I mean, honestly, now look at. I mean, the Lions are just playing on a different level than the rest of the league right now. Right now, I don't know if they're peaking early, if they're going to sustain this all the way through, but they are playing some ridiculous football in Detroit. Their running back situation is they've got it locked in. Montgomery was the perfect piece for them. I hated to see him leave Chicago. You know, Last year they were kind of figuring it out. This year they've locked it in. I mean, they've got a great tandem. Goff is having a career year, right? He's having a career year. I mean, there have been a couple games, moments, but overall, he's having a career year. I mean, I don't know if anyone in this division is beating the Lions right now. I don't know if anyone in the NFC outside of a team in Philadelphia even have a legitimate shot against the Lions right now.
Well, you know, while everybody wants to give the GM credit for finding money on a team, because I heard you say this, it's actually their CFO, the chief financial officer, that does all the money stuff. The GM finds the talent. The CFO does all the signings.
They find money.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that the guy in Minnesota is on the level of Matt Dunstall, the one that's here in Detroit. Because we find money.
Whatever.
We're bringing up money, guys. We can't forget Russ Ball.
Let's all invest some money, guys. The bigger point is, without getting to minutiae of weeds and beating chests over who's got the best money guy, they find the money. Period. Full stop.
You're missing the point there, but anyway.
No, I'm not missing the point. They find the money was the point. That was the point. If they want a guy, they find the money. That was the point.
Well, did anybody see what the spread is for the Detroit and Bears?
And I know why it is. I know why it is. Vegas put it at 10.5 because they expect the Bears to be able to cover that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So I expect this to be like a touchdown difference game.
Yeah,
at most. And
every divisional game so far has been within like 3 points. I mean, us, them. I mean, every game that's been played, I think, is
except for one. Lions versus Packers was 24-14.
So here's the interesting thing, right?
Yeah, we beat you by 10 points in your house.
If you look at,
he's got to be loving this shit, dude. He's just sitting.
You in your house again.
That ain't happening this year.
Oh yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
Here's something on the Lions. Points per game, first in the NFL. Points allowed per game, second in the NFL. That's pretty complete. They're solid on both sides. The Bears are 22nd in points scored and 8th in points allowed. Dude, it's. I mean, rush yards. The Lions are 4th in the league right now, which is surprising they're not 1, but that's okay. The Bears are 23rd. Yards allowed, this is the only thing where it gets a little bit close at all. The Lions are 12th in the league. The Bears are 17th. Oh, I'm sorry. In total difference? Oh, okay. Turnover difference? Wait, this one's surprising. They're tied. Both are +9.
I know.
So, I mean, statistically speaking, this game should be a wash, right? But Rob's right. It's a division game. Ken's right. It's a division game. Weird shit happens in division games. JB, I mean, look at on paper, this should be a 2 or 3 score game easy. But
I understand.
I kind of agree with you. It's going to be it's probably going to be a 1-score game. I mean, that's just that's the motif for the Bears this year. Lose the game by a score.
Dan Campbell
I'll just take you back to last year on Christmas Day, right? The Raiders went into Kansas City with no business winning a game with Aiden O'Connell, and they knocked off the Chiefs in Arrowhead, dude. Like every year there's a game like that where a team that shouldn't win goes in and wins. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised. The thing that to me though is Caleb's going to have to play the game of his life to win that game.
We're starting to get to that miracle time of year. So
that's what I'm saying, dude. It's Thanksgiving.
But we already had that miracle win, and it was the one where Lions led the time of possession in every single statistic, yet Tampa Bay still won.
That's just
but that wasn't a division game, though.
Yeah.
No, I know. I was just being a smartass that we already had that type of game.
The legend of Baker Mayfield and his alter ego will live forever, man. But I mean,
There-
look at Caleb.
I'm just
is
saying, there's a
playing-
path to victory. There's a path to
There
victory
is.
for the Bears, in my opinion.
Oh, there is.
Like,
There is, and Dan Campbell addressed it, and AG has realized it because now that there's 2 weeks of film, they know what the Bears like to do on offense because they've done the exact same thing in 2 weeks. And the only reason why they got close at the end of the games is both teams went to soft zone coverage, where Caleb thrives with short passing game.
What's funny, JB? And it's not. What's funny about this league in general? Why do teams? Every team does it. Every week we all bitch about the prevent only prevents you from winning, right? We all say it every week, and every week 16
Somebody
teams
does
in the
it.
league do it.
Right. And they let teams back in. Guess who's the only team that hasn't done it since they gave up a garbage time touchdown versus the Packers?
You guys, probably.
You're absolutely right. You know what we've done since Hutchinson has went down? We have held
You guys haven't even missed the step. I'm going to say this right now.
we have held
I was
opponents
wrong.
to a 27 points over the last 6 games since Hutchinson went down.
So, look, I think, I was wrong. Everyone on this panel was wrong. But we all thought when Hutchinson went down, there was going to be a drop-off. And the Vikings game was kind of like, look at the Vikings game. We knew that we would see a change because there wouldn't be time for the Vikings to react to whatever change Detroit made, right? Because nobody would have seen it. And that happened. And that was a close game. And then you guys just kind of like did your thing, and then you went and got a guy, and there's been no drop-off. In fact, I think you guys are better now without Hutch than you were with Hutch. So the inverse happened. You guys got better, right,
And
once Hutch
let's
went
look
down.
at the
That's how it
disparity
feels.
between, and here's the other thing that's a huge disparity that nobody's looking at. And if you look at defensive scoring against per quarter, last season at this time, Detroit was 32nd in the league in scoring defenses in the third quarter. You know what they ranked this year?
Probably first.
Number 1. You want to talk about a disparity difference? It is the
Well, yeah, I mean,
AG
but
and
I'm not surprised, JBA, because you would have brought it up if it wasn't the case. But B, you see this in the league with a lot, like the Bears last year, were one against the run. Now we're almost dead last. We were pretty bad last year in red zone. Now we're the best. I don't get with teams, you go from first to worst to first in certain categories every year. But the Lions this year are the exception to the rule. They have, on both sides of the ball, done so many things so well this year. And Hutch goes down and we're like, okay, the defense isn't a suffer. It hasn't. But Goff is prone to moments. Goff is playing out of his mind right now. So, I mean, Detroit, until someone figures them out, and maybe it's the Bears tomorrow, who knows? I mean, maybe it's not, but they're rolling. They're hitting on all cylinders right now. So
there's nothing to figure out. You just got to play better than them. That's all. They're playing good, bro. That's
they're
it.
playing real good ball. I mean,
They're not doing anything special. They're just executing their game. That's it. They're not doing nothing special. Nothing at all.
They're
and
not.
that's what I've been saying.
And as long as you can figure out how to stop the run, that's the key with them. If you can stop the run, then you can get to the quarterback. Oh, wait a minute, that's any team. But if you do that with Detroit, then you can make some things happen. But no one's able to do that to Detroit this year. Why? Because their running game has just been so on point. Last year, that offensive line took a step back. This year, they took that step back forward. They said, oh, wait, we jacked up last year. Let's fix this. And they did. I mean, that's the problem. If we're going to have any success tomorrow against the Lions, we got to contain the running game. And the Bears' problem is this. They're decent at containing the running game for pieces of the game, but they're giving up these big gash runs at certain parts of the game. So it's a mixed bag right now. Like the stats don't necessarily support the play because the Bears, for the most part, are stopping the run, creating 3 and out, stuff like that. But then they go and they give up a 40-yarder, and then they'll give up a 15-yarder right after that. So they're inconsistent on the run, and therefore they've been really bad in stopping the run overall, stat-wise.
Lions are second in the league in explosive plays, only to Philly.
Mhm.
And when you say explosive plays, everybody says, "What do you mean?" These are plays of 25 plus yards. Philly
Mhm.
leads the league with 13 so far this season in
Yeah,
12
no,
weeks.
probably most
The
of those are
Lions have
Saquon.
12.
Saquon's probably most of those running. Oh, look, I got the whole field to myself again 70 yards later.
Do you know
God,
why
Saquon's a
Saquon
beast.
started doing that? He started not slowing down at the end of his
Yeah.
run and getting tackled inside the red zone
Yep.
because they'll do the tush push and take his stats away.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, look, it's going to be on paper, tomorrow shouldn't be a good game. But like Rob said, it's division.
It is division.
Every
I said
division
it's
game
gonna
is
be,
pretty close.
and I have acquiesced. I don't think we're beating you by 10, 20 points. I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to happen.
I,
The only way it happens is a complete breakdown on the defensive side of the ball by the Bears. Not because the Lions are that good. You look at, I'm talking about that's the only way it happens is a complete breakdown of the Bears defense, and we haven't
well,
seen that.
or, and hear me out, JV, this becomes a shootout because the Bears figure out your defense and are able to move the ball all day.
I'm confident in the adjustments that our defensive coordinator has made this year.
I get it. And you're like, well, we got 2 weeks of tape now, so now therefore we know, but I don't know if you know, after 2 weeks, you could switch things up for this week. That's if you know, I mean, I think
and we adjust.
Two games on a short week, you can do some adjusting, yes,
But not a lot.
but not a lot. And then also, after 2 games, it's kind of hard to say we know because who knows what he's going to change. I mean, the next season, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you've got to. I guess it should be. They have an idea now of what he kind of likes.
That's basically what he's saying. He's saying,
Yeah,
we have seen it for 2 weeks, and we see the tendencies that they
We've
do
seen
on
some
offense.
short-term tendencies, right? Until they become long-term, they're not complete tendencies.
Right.
It's going to be
And
interesting.
until you have enough time to implement a change.
And then, but then if Caleb keeps playing, every week he's been improving his game. So if he keeps the improvement, who knows? This could be a game. Like I think we all know that, or all thought at some point, especially in college, Caleb is going to be one of those quarterbacks who might be one, or he might be one of those quarterbacks who could just take a game over himself. If Caleb has that kind of moment tomorrow, the Bears can win. If he takes the game over, if Caleb says, "Here, hold my beer, get on my back, and let's go," and he's able to do that, which would be just insane. But let's say that happens, that's a path to victory. If it becomes a shootout, there's a path to victory. If both defenses are completely stout and stopping each other because it's a division game, this, that, and the other, there's a path to victory. There's always a path to victory in a division game. We've seen throughout the decades, we can have the best team in the division, who might be the best team in the league, play the worst team in the league, and the worst team in the league will win. We've seen it with every team in this division. It's a division game. All bets are off.
I don't know if I want to shoot out. I don't know if I'm the Bears. I don't know if I want to try a shootout with the Lions, though.
No,
I
because
think I want to try to keep it a running game, keep it keep it under 20 or close to 20, and try to capitalize in the red zone. That's the main thing. I think it's going to be the kicking game for the Bears. Like you got to get close enough for Santos to make those field goals,
right?
And take advantage. Like every time you cross the 50, you got to get at least 3. But hopefully 7, right?
Right. I mean, Joe, a shootout, I think the Bears would rather force Goff to throw than to have to face that running game.
Yeah, that's the other thing is every week so far against NFC North opponents, there's been a blocked field goal for the Bears.
Yeah.
When will Cairo learn to kick higher than a basketball rim?
I don't want to diss Cairo Santos because after the double doink and the wandering search for a kicker that happened in Chicago, Cairo showed up and the guy's been money overall. He's been money. The only thing I wish Cairo would do, and I've said this a couple times throughout the week, is he's hit that gym and get some more leg strength because now you got kickers who are doing, like if you look at week 2, the Bears game week 2 against the Texans, the Texans, if they don't have a kicker can kick from 55 yards out, the Bears actually probably win that game. Having a guy who can put it in from 55 yards out versus punting is a massive deal.
Hi,
And-
let me
and we're
introduce you to somebody.
And you know what I'm saying? I mean, Cairo is a great kicker. Don't get me wrong. I love him. He's great. I mean, he deserved the contract he got. But the
Great
league
from
is shifting.
48 yards in. That's what he's great
Yeah.
at. He's,
And you know what? And that used to be the benchmark, right? But the
It's
league
not.
has shifted. The benchmark has moved. It's now you need to be able to kick him from 55. And
Mhm.
Cairo can't do it.
it's people that live in the 50 to 55 range. That's what you need for every
Yep.
offense in the league.
Cairo, okay. Look, Mike, I hate that stat because it's not completely accurate. It is and it isn't. Yes, under 40, he's 100%. Then they say, oh, but anything over 40, he's 76%. No, he's 76% anything over 48. 48 and below, he's solid, unless it's blocked.
And
He
I
doesn't
actually said
miss.
that.
He doesn't shake it at 47 or 48. He connects. Unless it's blocked, he connects. Anything above 48, that's when he starts to come up short. He starts pushing it left or right, and he actually legit misses.
I mean,
So
you know, it's amazing to watch a kicker that is hitting from over 50 and you see
Oh,
him
yeah.
scraping the top of upright.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, you know what's-
that's crazy to me.
I mean,
That-
I'm
now
not.
here's
I'm
the
not
inverse,
100%. I'm not 100% sure that it's a leg strength problem with Santos, though. I think it's a problem. He just kicks too low. His angle of that he takes. If you watch all
Well,
the
that's
kickers,
because of the leg
his
strength.
angle is so low, dude.
But some of that's dictated by the leg strength.
No,
Okay.
and some of that is into the intelligence of the game and looking at the analytics and the angle that the holder holds the football too. Because if the holder holds it more upright, you're going to get less height on it. If you look, all the guys that have the big booming legs that are kicking high, like Fairbairn, Bates, and Tucker, guess what? Their holders hold it at a better angle, so it's aimed up, so it has an up trajectory to make it go longer to begin with. Because you're talking about soccer style kickers.
Yeah, but I mean, he just doesn't have even on his line drives at 50. They don't have enough oomph behind him. Some of it's leg strength. He's just got to hit the gym. Like if I'm Carlos Santos, I'm leg day every day. You know what I'm saying? Every day is a leg day if you're Carlos Santos. He needs to build up some strength. And JB, what you're saying is true too. It's both. He needs some leg strength to go with that, and he doesn't have the leg strength, and he needs it. He needs it. I mean, I would not be surprised if next year at camp the Bears bring in some young kicker who boots him from 60. But here's the thing I was going to say before you know about this, and we kind of jumped a minute. But the inverse is this though: some of these guys who are kicking it from 60, these big legs, they can't hit an extra point. You notice that? We got some of these guys who can like hit at 55, 58, they're automatic. But you get them at 30 and they're missing. Yeah.
Matt Prater.
So I mean,
Again, I think it's a trajectory thing because they're used to looping the kicks in, you know, over the course of a 55-yard field goal. If you notice when they kick, it when they first kick it, it's outside the upright,
they're
and then it works
curveballing
its way back in. You know, the curveball.
Yep.
So I think that, you know, they just haven't. I don't know if it's just too short of a distance for them to adjust their curve or what.
But I mean, we have to admit though that the standard in the league has shifted from 48 being okay to now it's 55.
Right. It's those guys that are nailing it from 50 to 55. Joshua Carty, look at him. He banged in a 59-yarder for the Chargers the other day.
Yeah.
Shrieking.
I mean, the kicking game has definitely changed, but no, for the game tomorrow, the Bears need to do what they can, sell out, take away the run, and force Goff to make passes. And they have to do something. We also have to do something we haven't been that good at for the last couple weeks. Get to the quarterback. Yeah, we're still getting a sack a game. Great.
Right.
But we are creating pressure. Okay, but it hasn't been enough. It hasn't been enough. They got to create. And Goff is a quarterback that we've seen throughout his career. If you pressure him extremely and get hands on him a lot, he will make a lot of mistakes. And no one's been able to do that to him this year.
One team did.
Well, yeah. Well, which game was that though?
Texans.
Yeah, the Texans got to him, and the Texans gave that game. Well, that's a whole other story. But because the Texans are just like a non-second half team, dude. I don't know what's up with them. They did it again last week. They gave up a second half game. But I mean, if you can make Goff make mistakes, you can have a high turnover game, right? And you can make Goff make those mistakes. So the Bears need to be able to do that tomorrow. But if the Bears let them run or can't contain the run and let Goff go unscathed, then he's going to, like any other quarterback in this league who, if you leave him unscathed, any quarterback in this league, even Danny Dimes, if you leave them untouched, they're going to eventually pick you apart.
I agree. I agree that's what you have to do. But the problem is it's not easy for teams to do that. And if you look at what the Texans did, if you actually look at what the Texans did, they stopped pressuring in the second half. They went to a zone defense the entire second half, and what started to happen?
I'm telling you, the Texans, man, they've given up more second half game leads probably than any team in the NFL. And that's like, look, when you guys got that win out of there, I know Lions fans, oh my God, we came back from this huge 2-score deficit. And oh my God, the grit. I'm like, okay, there's some of that, but also the Texans just completely laid a goose egg in the second half. I mean, part of that game, the Lions coming back, and I give credit to the Lions for coming back, but part of that was just the ineptitude of the Texans to close out a game.
Which is basically what I was pointing out. They stopped blitzing. They started dropping everybody in zone coverage. And it took us, 2 drives to adjust, and then all of a sudden, boom, here come the Lions.
Yeah, Fred under pressure and putting hands on him, though, and knocking him around, that's different than just applying some pressure, right? And the teams are not getting to Goff and they're not making Goff speed his clock up, I guess is the point. You got to make Goff speed up his internal clock. If you don't like any quarterback in this league, if you let them run within their internal clock, they're going to shred you and pick you apart, or at bare minimum, not give you turnovers. When you make any quarterback in this league speed up their clock, that's when throws become errant. That's when mistakes happen. And people aren't doing that to Goff right now. The Lions have been very, very good in their protection and their play calling at keeping Goff's clock running where he's comfortable.
Right. Which is if I'm the Bears, 2.8 to 3.3 seconds is where the average release time has been for Goff all year, except that first half versus Texas.
Go ahead, Joe.
If I'm the Bears, you gotta blitz, dude. You haven't been able to really get to the quarterback as much as you want to. You're gonna have to really commit to the blitz and have some creative blitzes that are harder for the offensive line to pick up. And then Joseph said that turnovers are the only way Chicago wins this, but I would twist that. I would change that just a little bit, and I would say it's not going to be turnovers because I think the Bears are going to get a turnover or two. Their defense is opportunistic. It's points off turnovers that's going to make the difference. Like because look at the Texans, they got 5 picks, and what did they turn it into? Like a couple of field goals.
And I think though, Joe, that's a big difference with the Bears the last 2 weeks versus the Bears the first 8. Right? I mean, we've seen a difference. At least they're getting 3 out of them now, whereas there were plenty of games where we got turnovers and we went 3 and out. They're improving offensively. JB guys had the jet to get his show ready in 6 minutes.
Yeah, but they're gonna need 7 off of turnovers.
Yeah, they need to start. Well, I think that's the other part of the growth of this team. Like, I get it. Jalen Johnson, came on the score yesterday and said, look, basically said they're frustrated. They're frustrated that they're losing games. They're frustrated they got all this talent and they can't win, right? And I get the frustration. I think everyone's frustrated from the coaching staff to the players. They've lost some heartbreaking games where, look, Green Bay makes a play. Last week, Caleb holds the ball too long, takes a bad sack, that sets back, and they had all the momentum, gets sucked away from them, and then the Vikings seize that momentum to win on a walk-off field goal. We've lost some heartbreakers, right? I get it. Everyone's frustrated in Chicago because of it, because this team is really good. It's just missing a piece or two. And I think part of what we're missing is what we've been saying they've been missing all year in the trenches. They got to get a little bit better on the offensive line still, even though it's been improved. And we need that other edge that we didn't get in the offseason, right? And we drafted a kid in the 5th round who's projected to be a first or second rounder in this upcoming draft. But he obviously, if he's projected to be that after another full year of playing college, he wasn't ready, right? And we knew that, but we got him in the 5th. You take the steal. And the bet was that he'll be ready next year. Booker's playing pretty good ball for a rookie in the 5th round pick. But we're still not getting that edge pressure we need to complement Sweat, who's also been playing injured for most of the year. So, the Bears are this team. They're like on that razor's edge, right? And now,
you're gonna have to blitz, dude, and you're gonna have to, like Joseph just said, Minnesota gave up on blitzing halfway through the game.
Oh yeah, I get that, but I'm saying right now this is a team that's on the edge. And right now, we're not getting those pieces to fall our way. Eventually, that's going to change. And I agree, we need to blitz more. And I think part of the reason also why we're not blitzing more is Brisker's out. And Brisker was a big piece of that. Having him back there, let them do things with Kyle Gordon, bringing Gordon up for, like, look at week 1 and 2. Like, you saw a lot of blitzes where they bring up Gordon and stuff like that. A lot of the blitz packages you saw stopped after week 5 when Jaquan Brisker went out. That's a huge impact. And next man up in coverage has been great. Or I would say great, but it's been really good. High level still, right? Credit where credit's due. But it's not good enough where they're comfortable enough to sell out with Gordon on a blitz. I haven't seen Gordon blitz at all in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
See, but that's what I'm saying. This, and of course, this is just my opinion. But I think the Bears have to sell out and blitz the whole game. I think you have to go into the game with the mentality that, okay, we might end up getting torched on a play,
right?
Because we're blitzing. But we have to have that mentality of we're going to blitz you all game long. We're going to bring the defensive pressure all game long in order to have a legit chance to win.
Joe, I think you're right. I mean, look, if I have anyone complain about Eberflus at this point of the season with a defensive play call, besides the zone crap that I don't know why anyone in the league does it. We all bitch about it, and every team does it. But if there's one thing I think he's been playing since Brisker went down, defensively, he's played it too safe. Like, dude, start taking the chances again. I get it. Brisker's not back there anymore, and you got to trust in the guy who's been playing the last couple of weeks. They've played really good ball. I mean, Stevenson's been good. The guys, they've been pretty good. You got to start taking the blitzes, and you got to start doing the things we were doing before Brisker went out. Because when Brisker went down, this whole defense changed. It did change, and it's what you're saying, Joe. They don't blitz enough anymore. We're not seeing the exotic blitzes. We're not seeing these sellouts. And it all started to stop when Brisker went out.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's the thing is, like, it's kind of freeing if the Bears are willing to do that. If they're willing to go into tomorrow's game and say, like, we're going to bring the blitz no matter what, then if you lose, you lose. But you knew going in that was a risk, that you could get torched on a play, because you chose to blitz.
I think it's low risk, high reward in this case. I agree. It's low risk, high reward for them. And I
think even high risk, high reward is still acceptable if it's going to give you a chance to win the game.
Yep. I mean, because offensively, we're starting to do things. Ratchet the defense back up because it's obviously slipped some. And I'll be watching Brisker on Twitter. Brisker was on Twitter on Bears Twitter or in Twitter in general during the game on Sunday, and it was interesting to listen to see some of his tweets. They got to ratchet it up though, and that's a key. And we'll be talking about on House Hall tonight, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. on the East Coast on Warweek House Hall. It's going to be a fun game tomorrow, and then we've got some other games tomorrow. But no one's watching the Cowboys game. That's when we're all eating dinner, and then the Packers Dolphins. Well,
Yeah, we're gonna end Thanksgiving with some sushi.
so there you go. So hey everyone, thanks for watching. Thank you, Joe, for being on. Rob, enjoy your trip to the lake. Everyone, JB is on in about 9 seconds to tell you how awesome the Lions are and talk everything Lions. So please tune into that. We'll see you all on